with Solomon and Harriet Tubman, they've become like symbols and metaphors, but they're individuals. And how do you speak about the larger, broader topic? And so with this one, it became about the names engraved on the benches, but also this mud. Like Louisiana is mud.
Oh,
it's just mud everywhere. And so it became thinking about the thousands of people that were clawing their way out of that mud and were unsuccessful, whereas he does get to step up to that next plane of existence. All of these people weren't.
Yeah.
From the broken in the fire, through the ashes we will climb. The dust will settle, we will not. All together we will rise. Out from the shadows into the light. All together it's our time. We will rise. We will rise. We will rise. We will
So we had, we kind of landed on this third scale model.
Yep.
And incorporating those committee words and thinking about, really wanted to explore the duality of his kidnapping, because we're not talking about, we're talking about slavery, but we're also talking about human trafficking.
Absolutely.
And, which is a very contemporary thing that is still going on. And so the idea of being kidnapped and enslaved is still happening, and so we want to talk about that duality and that sort of the juxtaposition of something so beautiful as freedom juxtaposed with the horrific natures of chattel slavery in the South. It really became, how do we build this immersive experience, a lesson in empathy for the viewers. And so sculpturally, that was accomplished by creating a sculpture that from some angles, you only see a free man.
Okay.
You can't see like what has happened to him or what is going to happen.
Okay.
So street view is from the camera's perspective. It's free Solomon Northup. His name is emblazoned in the front in gold. The papers that he's holding aloft will be gold, so they actually are evocative of like a torch, like lighting the way. So the piece is currently titled, it's a working title, we may keep it, but it's titled Hope Out of Darkness. And it's about the duality of his life. So then it became working with an architecture firm to develop how do we make this an immersive experience.
Sure.
Really starting with, he was so well spoken, his book is so eloquently written, and it was really important, like how do we incorporate his words into what we're doing. And so we started selectively going through the book to find descriptions and narratives of things we wanted to talk about that reflect the messaging of the community in Louisiana. So we've culled from his book his actual words, taking him through his experience. And then we built the sculpture around those words. And so the plaza is built in a way that you can only enter from one direction. His words are going to be embedded into a blue stone plaza. Blue stone is a New York native stone, so it's like taking a piece of New York and plopping it in Louisiana. So the significance of the stone choice relates directly to his Free State hometown.
Absolutely.
And then at the beginning, he realizes he is kidnapped. So as the viewer reads his words, they realize he is kidnapped. The first plaque you walk up on is him being beaten in D.C. for telling them he's free. And that is indicated in the scars on his back.
So it gives an illusion that from the street level that, wow, this is beautiful, it's triumphant.
Beautiful, free man.
Yeah. And then when you actually get out your car, hopefully you do, for those that are visiting the site, and you come to the back, then the grim reality of this person's comprehensive life is shown.
Yes. So it's a discovery for the viewer that is very shocking, because it is, you go from this triumphant, heroic angle to, as you enter the plaza, there's a very intentional division that is the division of him being kidnapped. And then you're in the thick of it with it. You realize that this heroic man in this smart suit from the front has scars on his back. And so his words take you through his journey, which is indicated in the plaza here. And it's all very intentional. Again, it's bluestone. At the same time, they're very interested in, the committee and the descendants, of using this as an educational opportunity for teachers and visitors. And so there's benches surrounding the plaza, and the benches, we talked about how fortunate he was to get out. At the end of the movie, if you saw it, he rides away on the wagon, and Patsy collapses in the road. So the idea that he was the lucky one, we wanted to speak about everyone else, everyone that was left behind. And so these surrounding benches are built in a way in relation to a big tree that's on the site. We went through his entire book, and every person that he encountered will have their name engraved on the bench. So as you're moving through his experience, you're surrounded by enslaved and other kidnapped people in chronological order. So starting here, he encounters kidnapped people in D.C., in the slave pen in D.C., right down the street from the Capitol. There's a historic marker in D.C. You can go see it. Solomon Northup. This is the slave pen. There's Eliza and her children he encounters there. So as you move through this, those names will be on these benches. And then there's a soul bench here that is his family bench. So his wife and children's names will be engraved on this bench. And the concept there is, at the beginning of his journey when he was kidnapped, his family was there. And then as you move through his journey, by the end, he is reunited. The last text is his reunited text with his family that interrelates to the sculpture. So like really developing that
That's beautiful.
immersive experience with the architects really makes this project special.
Yeah, it's
There's
definitely powerful.
these radials. One represents the Mason-Dixon line, and so this is the Mason-Dixon line. It runs parallel with the latitude, and it says Mason-Dixon line is 378 miles north of here. All of these, this one points to New York, his hometown, and gives you a mileage just to give you a sense of, you know, this dude was sold, you know, it's 1,684 miles or whatever the number is. You know, his home was that far. So anyway, there's the plaza and his words informed the sculpture.
And this is obviously not the final product. However, it is the rendering of what it will be looking like.
Yeah.
And so, as you came to completion with this, what were the different feels that you had with this than you did with the Harriet Tubman sculpture? Were there any similarities because they were both in the institution of enslavement and, you know, were able to get their freedom? Like, what were your lasting thoughts with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are definitely overlays, like specifically with Solomon and Harriet Tubman, they become like symbols and metaphors, but they're individuals. And how do you speak about the larger, broader topic? And so with this one, it became about the names engraved on the benches, but also this mud. Like Louisiana is mud.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just mud everywhere. And so it became thinking about the thousands of people that were clawing their way out of that mud and were unsuccessful, whereas he does get to step up to that next plane of existence. All of these people weren't.
Yeah.
And so we really wanted this discomfort, like it feels like the gnashing of teeth and suffering, but doing it in a, you know, so the hands, you know, are
Just
the
about to ask about
souls.
that. Okay.
You know, so it's all of the souls that that didn't make it out, and that he was scrambling through all of that. So the sculpture's intent. So you, after you see that free version, you come around here and you're confronted with these horrific scars on his back, the hands and the mud and this sort of uncomfortable, brutal feeling. And then as you move around, he starts to, he's on the run. There's some text in the book about how he ran until the sole of his shoe came off.
Yeah.
And so that text will be here. There's text about the bondsman's chains were around my neck, and it's here. When you get to here, there's a text about strike for freedom, which was sort of a, you know, so this position relates to his words. So you've got his name, those papers that represent both his future book, his free papers that were stolen from him in DC, and his free papers that he was re-given in Marksville. And yeah, so as you move around, his expression from this perspective is one of perseverance and just like fortitude to get out. And then as you move around, his expression starts to change to more of one of like longing for my family.
Yeah.
And by the time you land over here, is the perspective, his family bench is here, and he is being reunited, and his face is one more of like soulful humanity, of empathy. And again, you're back to, at this angle, all you see is the free man.
Yep.
He's got his smart shoes on,
Yep.
he's got his nice coat, you know,
Papers.
everything. The chains are obscured. The pedestal, actually, there's a fabricated element, so it's blocking this. So it's very intentional, so that it illustrates the duality of his life.
through all of your texts, and I guess this is kind of like through all the readings, through all the texts that you've been privy to since taking on this project, and I guess it's kind of like be our closing act, right? What did you find most remarkable about Solomon Northup now that you're studied on him? You've been able to be in the state in where he was at physically, like the state of Louisiana, and be in that community, speak with descendants. What is that one remarkable thing that you've been able to glean from this experience in studying this man?
I mean, there are many. Probably the one that has left the most lasting impact is like the ability to be thrust into that situation, and to have the intellectual capacity to deal with that, like emotionally, like to not be overwhelmed with what is happening to you. And I mean, you know, we talk about that in hardship, and you know, it's like you can sustain for a couple of months, but like sustaining for 12 years and like retaining hope that you're going to get out, like that is amazing. Like that he didn't collapse under the weight of the experiences that were being thrust upon him, and that he managed to, like I was saying earlier, it's like he had this ember of freedom that he knew who he was, but he couldn't say it. He couldn't use, you know, smart words because it may clue someone in, and he couldn't, you know, he couldn't be honest with himself or who he was. He like had, you know, a decade of hiding that and sort of protecting it and nurturing it and keeping it alive. It's astounding, like an astounding human achievement. Like I just can't, like I feel like we're all so soft, you know, these days. Like it just like that, the ability to do that is.
There's a certain type of faith that you definitely have to have, and belief system that you have to go that long and persevere and feel very optimistic, even though I'm sure there were multiple dark hours and dark days and dark years, to know that maybe eventually you'll be free again.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Like building it on a maybe.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, you think about like who are historical figures that we look to, that we want to teach our children about, and it's like you look at some of the accomplishments that are celebrated, and it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, that's fine, it's fine, but it's like the like his trajectory, his story, like it's just
Bar none.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like it is a feat of heroic proportions that are just completely unfathomable.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, you have captured it well. That's for sure. And we at Hometown Chronicles USA appreciate you for allowing us to come into your studio up here in Cashers. Oh, Cashers. Make sure I get it right. Cashers, not cashiers. Cashers, North Carolina, and we're just thankful for this opportunity. We appreciate it.
Bravo.
Thank you, man. This
Thank
is
you.
nice. For sure.
Just as we turned off the cameras, Wesley surprised Murph with a request of his own, a chance to leave his own mark for generations to come.
There are very specific handprints with, like, you know, fingerprints and hand lines, and each one of those have been people that wanted to kind of project the legacy of their lineage and their ancestors into it. Black historians, and we had a little 4-year-old. There's hers
Right here, I
here.
see it.
And a little 6-year-old boy is right here. And so I would be honored. If
And
you
I would love
wanted
to.
The hands.
Yeah, I would love to. You have to record it for me, though.
You know.
Here you go.
Well, Odyssey will pop back out here.
You got to record
Like,
it.
it'll be a whole because I'm gonna be doing it with you.
Oh, okay. We're doing it together.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, I've got to
Let's do it.
we have to heat it up. It's gonna take a minute. It's gonna take a
okay.
minute.
Good. Yeah.
But essentially, we're gonna have to heat it up,
and then
you're gonna have to
come
put
back
your
out
hand in and take it off. We may have to do it a couple times.
Yeah.
I got to find a place for it.
Okay.
Cloudy, it gets cloudy sometimes, and I don't know what to do. I can't see, it's just cloudy. It gets cloudy sometimes, and I don't know where to go or who to be. It's just cloudy. It gets cloudy sometimes. I don't know how to move. I can't breathe. It's just cloudy. It gets cloudy sometimes. Does it happen to you or just me?
Thank you once again for joining us on this journey. We definitely made new friends while filming this series. Wesley and Odyssey invited us into their homes and lives and were such incredibly gracious hosts. We'll cherish the intimate moments we spent together forever. We want to send a huge thank you to both Wesley and Odyssey for inviting us out to see your studio, and we hope that we'll see you both again very, very soon. We'll see you again next time on Hometown Chronicles USA.